Resource guarding is a mild form of aggression in which a dog aims to protect a place, person, or thing. This is most often seen with people, food, and toys, though it may also be seen in body handling or locations like a bed or a crate. It's important to remember that resource guarding is a form of aggression, and practicing aggression in any form is a direction that we don't want to go at all, especially with our foster and rescue dogs that are looking for new homes and we are actively trying to get them placed. Resource guarding is dangerous. It can escalate in the wrong situation and limits a dog's options for placement. It makes dogs much more difficult to adopt out and presents challenges in management for everyone. So how do we manage it? Safety is paramount. Remember to feed or play away from others, including other dogs and people. Read your dog's body language, and don't take the resource from the dog. We'll talk more about this later. A few other boxes we want to check initially is to make sure that our dog is not in pain. This can escalate behaviors that are not typical for the dog. And we want to make sure that our dog is getting sufficient and potentially extra exercise. Dogs of all breeds, but especially our active breeds, require a significant amount of mental and physical stimulation, and when these needs aren't met, we run a much higher risk of starting or seeing behavioral problems come up. We want to remove the feeling of scarcity for our dogs whenever possible. This is typically seen with food, and we're going to fix that by feeding them on a regular schedule that they can predict. But we may also see it with people, or attention, or toys, in which the dog feels they're not getting enough attention or exercise, and those needs we're going to need to meet as well. In the event that our dog has an item or a resource that we have to take away, we're going to make sure that we take the dog away from the item and not the item away from the dog. This is for safety, and it's also to prevent seeing more of this resource guarding behavior so that we can help fix it in the future. We may also decide to trade for the item. If you can offer an item of equal or greater value to the dog, they may be perfectly happy to trade for it and not worry about seeing that resource go away. And lastly, we just want to make sure that we are very aware of other dogs, kids, people, and all of their physical locations. If we have dogs sneak up on us from behind, we may not be able to stop or prevent a fight that could have otherwise not happened. So how do we train resource guarding away? The first thing to consider is consulting a professional. There are often subtle nuances to behavior and body language that we simply don't see that a professional might be able to point out for us. The second incredibly important thing is safety. At all times, we want to keep our dog under threshold during the training process so that we are not continuing to reinforce and rehearse this resource guarding behavior. If we are seeing a lot of it come up, we definitely need to hire a professional so that we can prevent an accident. If you're dealing with just a mild case and you've ruled out the necessity of hiring a behavior professional, one of the first things that we're going to do is start hand feeding and handling food. This does not mean just sticking your hand in a dog food bowl while your dog is eating. We, again, are trying to prevent accidents and keep our dog under threshold. In the same way, you may start handling toys or working with multiple people as volunteers. Remember to give more than you take. Especially in resource guarding, we see a lot of it stem from a feeling of scarcity, and we want to encourage the dog to see our presence around their bowl or around their toys as an opportunity to get more of what they already have. Some other obedience or impulse control games like Drop It or Leave It are going to be incredibly valuable in the event that we have a dog that has already found an item or a resource and we need them to drop it. How do we prevent resource guarding from ever occurring in the first place? Well, the first three things that we always want to consider are proper breeding, proper rearing, and proper early training. These three things in combination are crucial and curb almost 90% of the resource guarding cases we see in adult dogs. However, in most shelter dogs, we have absolutely no control over how they've been brought into the world and how their early life and early training has occurred. So, when you have a young or adult shelter dog in your home and you want to ensure that you are helping to prevent or curb maybe some early signs of resource guarding, we're going to look at building confidence in your dog, practice handling food and toys in training scenarios, not just sticking your hand in a bowl while the dog is eating, training obedience skills for confidence and control, like leave it and drop it. We are not going to tease with resources. That includes people, toys, and food. Sometimes in some of our sport training, we talk about building drive-in dogs, but when we are looking at placing dogs into homes and they are just pet and companions, you have to consider how drivey do you really want your dog to be? Most often the answer is little to not at all. And practice the dog not getting attention from strangers or its person, and rewarding for calm acceptance or relaxed stationary positions like a down or a sit, or even falling asleep. At the end of the day, safety is always our top priority. We never want to put ourselves or our dogs in situations where accidents might occur. So remember to be safe and have fun training.